Welcome back to Odd Scoops. Today we're going to be making beets and berries ice cream. So last week at the end of our episode, we spun our wheel of flavor and it landed on beet ice cream. During the week while doing research for this ice cream, I decided to jazz up the flavor even more and not just do beets, and also decided to add some berries to that as well. But I still want beets to be the hero flavor of this ice cream. Game plan wise, what I am thinking for this is I'm going to be taking beet powder. I believe this is going to be the best way to incorporate the beet flavor successfully into our ice cream. So I'm going to be using quite a bit of this. And then over here I have homemade strawberry jam. I also plan on incorporating some blueberries and maybe a few raspberries, so kind of like a mixed berry. I feel like that's going to pair well with the beet flavor, which is a very earthy flavor. And I feel like those will complement each other very well. But I'm still going to make sure beet is the main focus of this ice cream, and hopefully the berries don't overpower it, but just kind of add to that flavor. Should be pretty straightforward. But before I go any further, I'm going to taste the beet powder just so I know kind of how much to add, because I'm not 100% sure. All right, bon appetit. Yeah, very earthy flavor for this. Like a little bit of sweetness to it, but other than that, it's not very descript, and that is kind of why I was wanting to add a secondary flavor. Otherwise, it was just going to taste like a kind of a semi-sweet, dirt-flavored ice cream. So yeah, let's go ahead and start mixing everything together. Okay, we are going to start first with about a quarter cup of our strawberry jam. Then after that, I'm going to be adding another quarter cup of blueberries, and then I have a couple raspberries in here as well. But I still want the strawberries to be kind of the main flavor and color for the berry side of this. Then next I'm going to add, I think I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons of beet powder. This is very chalky powder. Then on top of that, I'm going to be adding our sugar and guar gum to this as well. Okay, now we're going to start mixing this together before we add our milk. Okay, then we're going to add our cup of milk. Okay, this is looking super dark. I love that. Consistency wise, this is pretty thick, which is what I want. So I think we are ready to go ahead and pour this. Wow, I cannot get over how awesome this color looks. There's a better look at that. A lot of the berries are just floating to the top, so once this is blended up, this will look a lot different, at least color-wise. Texture-wise, it should be even better. So already the beet smell is the strongest smell I'm getting off of here. Getting a hint of like the berries, specifically strawberry, since that's the strongest one we have there, but I will say beet powder smell-wise seems to have taken over majority of the ice cream, which is what I want. I'm wanting kind of a earthy, subtle berry flavor for this ice cream. So yeah, I think we are ready to go ahead and put this in the freezer and check on it tomorrow. Okay, it is the next day and let's see how this turned out. So as you can see, a lot of the berries floated to the top, but that'll be fine once we blend this up. I'm loving how dark, oh hello, sorry, this ice cream is not for you. I'm really loving the kind of deep, kind of maroon kind of color we're getting from this. So that looks like right there. Yeah, I'm still getting a strong beet flavor from it. Not overpowering, but it's definitely, you could tell that's like some kind of earthy flavor over the fruit flavor. Now that should balance out a little bit more because you can see here the blueberries I added, those have not been broken up at all, so those will get blended up along with some of the other fruits that are in there. So yeah, I think let's go ahead and blend this up and see what it looks like on the other side. Now that is a beet and berry ice cream. I'm loving the consistency on this. It looks nice and thick. I'm not sure if this is just the way it was whipped, but it does look like some of the chunks might still be kind of in the ice cream, but that's fine. It just adds a little bit of texture. Here's a better look at that. Loving this color. I will say smell-wise, I think the balance between the fruitiness of the berries and the earthiness of the beet have balanced each other out, because I'm not getting as strong of a beet smell from this. I think the one thing I'm wondering though is how strong the beet flavor is going to be compared to the fruit. I tried to make it where the beet was the hero of this, because it's easy to just make a berry ice cream and then just throw in a tablespoon of beet powder to color it and call it a beet ice cream. But I wanted to make sure beet was a main focal point of this ice cream. So yeah, let's go ahead and dish it up and get to taste it. Ooh, yeah, that feels really good scoop-wise. All right, there you have it, your beet and berry ice cream. Better look right there. I'm loving this red so much. First of all, I think this looks fantastic. Second of all, I am interested to see texture-wise what this is when I taste this, because scooping this, I noticed it was not quite gummy, but it was definitely holding its shape almost more than I thought it should. And I'm wondering if maybe the beet powder acted as a kind of binding agent, and then I also added guar gum. So I don't think this will be a ranch incident, but this could potentially be too much binding agent if that's the case. But there's only one way to find out, so let's go and taste it. Bon appetit.
Fact, bears eat beets. Oh. Bears, beets, Battlestar Galactica.
Bears do not. What is going on? What are you doing?
All I can say is after eating this, I feel healthier. It's the taste from the beets is what's making this feel like I'm eating some kind of healthy alternative to ice cream. Like I feel like I'm not even eating ice cream other than the cold and the texture. But overall, this actually isn't that bad. This is actually pretty well balanced. Where I would do this differently is I think a little bit less of the beet powder. The beet powder is definitely there, but I think it's just a smidge too strong. Not to the point that it's gross, but just like a smidge too strong. I'd probably add a little more sugar and maybe a smidge more berries, just to give it a little more flavor other than the beet flavor, because I'm barely getting the berries in there. Texture-wise, I think I was right. The guar gum and the beet powder both acted as binding agents, so I would remove the guar gum. Not that it's a bad consistency. Like this is still a very scoopable, good consistency. But yeah, this is actually pretty dang good on like the sweetness level. It's kind of this like just above neutral. That's why it feels like I'm almost eating a yogurt bowl. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to describe this. It feels like I'm eating some kind of like yogurt smoothie ice cream. Honestly, not bad, but because I wanted this ice cream to be beet flavor forward, I definitely succeeded in that. If I was trying to make this ice cream as good as possible, I would lean more towards the berries and then have beet powder in there. So keeping that in mind when I'm giving my score, I think I'm going to give the beets and berries ice cream a 4.5 out of 5. I feel like overall there's just like some minor tweaks to make, but I feel like this is very successful for what it is. Overall, I definitely think it's worth exploring with beet powder in your ice creams. I think that's a lot of fun. Definitely don't use as much as I did. I think in grand total, I used about 3 tablespoons in this. I think 2 tablespoons is probably the max you should use. And if you're only using it to add color to your ice cream, probably 1 tablespoon or less. Really depends on how strong the main flavor for the ice cream is. Yeah, beet powder and berries. Apparently they go together pretty well, and surprisingly you feel healthy while eating it. So yeah. All right, it is time to churn the wheel, and let's see what we land on for next week. Ooh, that's like right on the line, but because it is pointing this way, I am going to give it to viewer's choice. So that means next week we're making candy corn ice cream because that's what you guys voted on. I'll see you guys then.